Hello and welcome to the 2022 Holistic Pain Relief Summit. I'm thrilled that you're here and you've taken the time to join us. My name is Trish Rossiter and I'm your host. This summit is for men and women living with chronic pain and who have a goal to get back to functioning fully in life without the need for taking drugs or having invasive procedures. If you haven't already done so, I invite you to enter or join our Facebook group. Each day of the summit, there'll be a thread where each day there will be a thread where we will post a summary of the speakers of the day, and you'll be invited to ask your questions. As well, we'd love to hear your best takeaway from the speakers of the day. Right now, I'm delighted to introduce Betsy Muller. Betsy is a master trainer of emotional freedom technique. She's a holistic coach, speaker, author, and all-faith minister. In addition to an MBA and 35 years of business management, Betsy's clients appreciate her practical experience, as well as her high curiosity and genuine interest in helping clients find the origin of their discomfort so they can claim more joy and comfort. Betsy's been practicing tapping or emotional freedom technique regularly since 2001, and she's conducted thousands of private client sessions. Betsy's an author as well, and we'll tell you more about that in a little bit. Welcome, Betsy. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Trish. It's great to be here.
Thank you. So, tapping into greater comfort is the name of your presentation. So tell us more. How did you find out about, how did you get involved in this? You were MBA for 35 years of business experience.
So I did a whole lot of things in my early life. I have a chemistry degree and a business degree. I worked in research, pesticide regulatory affairs. I then moved into BP oil company where I worked on various projects in real estate and chemicals. I was one of those people that changed jobs every, 12 to 18 months, kept going up. And eventually I had some children and I tried to cut back a little bit, went to work for a local hospital. So I was selling, I actually did seminars on wellness and back pain and also sold flu shots and, pre-placement physicals, things like that. And then after that job, I took a position with a local physician who had a group medical practice that was holistic, integrative medicine. So she had a medical degree and she combined acupuncture and other things. And I was there to help her grow her practice because she didn't take insurance. And so I had to learn about everything. I had to try everything. I wrote newsletters. I took care of her correspondence and set up speaking engagements. And one of the speaking engagements I set up for her was in Switzerland. And me one day just said, I really should go with you. That would be great. I just want to go to Switzerland. And she said, yes. So I went to Switzerland to this meeting. I didn't know what it was about. And it was an energy psychology meeting at this beautiful mountaintop place. And here I was, and I started meeting people. I liked them. I felt really at home. I went to all the seminars, and that is where I tried tapping for the first time. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, whoa, I am a very busy working mother, and this process just brought me into immediate peace, calm, and clarity, and like, how does this work? Because you're tapping on these points on the face and the torso. And in a matter of minutes, you can go from really stirred up to really focused, calm, clear. So I wasn't really dealing with a problem, but I was intrigued. I'm very curious. Remember, I was a research scientist before. I'm like, I need to understand this. I need to learn more. So I came back from the meeting and just started taking classes. I kept networking with all the people I met at that meeting, and they were curious about me because I knew marketing and I knew how to run a practice. So I joined the professional organization and just kept learning. There were no certifications. I really wasn't ready to change jobs until about 4 years later. That job just wasn't doing it for me anymore. And I thought, maybe I could do this as a coach I'd love to help other stressed working people. So that's where it all started. So, that's a long time ago, 21 years ago. I always say I could take my old self out for drinks now because it's been 21 years.
I love
Um, so I've had a lot of personal evolution. I became a certified practitioner working one-on-one with clients, but I always really liked working with groups. And so a lot of my focus over the years has been using tapping with groups. Highly effective, very, very effective. And more research is coming around this whole notion of group work with tapping makes it even more effective. And everybody gets a benefit in group. So I've become a trainer now, which I love because I can help other people become practitioners of emotional freedom techniques. The research is emerging. Over 100 published studies in reputable journals now that are, many of them double-blind randomized controlled trials. So we know this tapping works, and it works on a lot of different things. So it's an integrative tool. So I'm very careful to say, don't fire your doctor. Keep going to your doctor. You might still need to take medications. I would never dare take somebody off a medication. They need to be on it. But this is an add-on, and it's easy to add on. It doesn't take much time. It's actually fun. If you can do it with a group, do it with a group. And I do a free group every week. The people, if they want to just come and try it out, they can. So that's Mondays at 1:00 Eastern. I do a free group called Tapping for Calm Clarity. So it isn't necessarily pain, but it gives you a chance to feel what it feels like and be with a group on Zoom, bunch of strangers, and we're really nice. If you're not nice, I'll remove you, right? Yeah.
That's great. I'm definitely going to check that out, as I'm sure our listeners will.
Yeah.
I'm curious. As a nurse, I love that there is research behind it,
Yeah.
because there's always that part of me, that says, well, yes, intuitively, I know things work, but we're kind of trained to say, so where's the science? So, can you just, um, in an easy format, just tell us how it actually works? So, is it
Yeah. So I
breaking
think
the
the research depends on really what they're looking at. So, for example, one of the best pieces of research that I always refer to is the one that has to do with the stress hormone cortisol. They did a triple blind study, and they've replicated it too, where the study group did an hour of tapping, and then the control group just sat in like a waiting room, and then a third control group had stress management education. So we had 3 different groups. And the study found that the group that did the tapping had significantly lower stress hormone cortisol, and this was saliva cortisol, than the other 2 control groups. And you would expect, the education on stress management, because they were probably doing breathing and other stuff, that would be similar. But so the other one study was done one-on-one with people, the other one was done with group, and the better results came from group tapping together. I think it was 43% cortisol reduction in 1 hour with a group
wow.
tapping. And I've always known when I tap with people, they really feel different when they tap. They feel relaxed. Their body feels lighter. That's a word that comes up a lot. They're able to focus. And other things that the research is showing is that when you tap, or when you're stressed, I should say, the blood flow to the front part of your brain is interrupted. You don't have as much blood up here. And that's the part of the brain that has your language capabilities. So you ever noticed when you're really stressed, you can't talk?
Yes. Like earlier?
or you mess up your words. And so as you tap and calm down, the blood flow comes back to the front of the brain. You have this verbal ability to communicate, which also helps you connect with others and explain what's going on. And we know talk therapy works. There's tons of evidence that's what's been going on in our world. And talk therapy is really good. If you can enhance the talking by taking the stress off the brain, that's one more thing that the evidence is showing. And that's coming through through some of the functional MRI work too. Now, with respect to pain, the person that you guys all should be following is a woman at Bond University in Australia. Her name is Dr. Peta Stapleton. And she's a clinical psychologist, a researcher, a professor. She did originally all the weight loss research, because tapping is very effective for weight loss, because we get a stress response when we have cravings, believe it or not, with food. And tapping can interrupt the craving feeling, and then you feel calm, and then you don't eat the cake or the burger or whatever puts you out of control, right? So she started a lot of the research on food disorders, weight loss, and everything. She got curious as she keeps going. She's a very good researcher, and she has a lot of assistants. So she's looking at pain now, chronic pain. So the average person in this study had been suffering pain for 12 years. I think you had to have pain for 2 years to be in the study. And they did have a control group, which was a wait list. But they looked at things like, they did do functional MRI. They found the part of the brain that that responds to pain was less activated. Let me see, what part of the brain was that? The frontal cortex, the medial frontal cortex. The group that tapped had the before and after, I guess before and after intervention. I think it was a 6-week study, that there were definite changes in the medial frontal cortex, less activity. Okay, so that's a brain finding. The other things, though, they surveyed people about before and after the tapping interventions. Are they able to work? And at the beginning, they weren't. Afterwards, the survey showed that they were suitable to do 8 hours a day of work, that they were feeling well enough. The pain scores, and there's all these scores, but the scores went down significantly before and after. And then they did a 6-month follow-up, and those scores stayed low too. I wish I had all the beautiful charts, but if you follow Peta Stapleton on Instagram or on Facebook, you'll see the charts, you'll see the numbers. And I don't know as if it's published yet, because they were still getting the results back, but it's very promising, because it showed anxiety went down, depression went down, quality of life went up, PTSD, they no longer qualified as being in any of those diagnoses. And as your listeners know, when somebody has chronic pain, you've got other stuff going on. You're depressed, you're angry, you're sad, you can't work. And so I think they really looked at all these factors that are involved in chronic pain, and the brain. The brain changes when we tap. And they're also studying vagal tone. Any of your speakers talk about vagal tone yet?
No, actually, not yet. No.
So, we're still trying to figure out what this tapping does. We know it decreases the arousal of the amygdala, which is that fight or flight part of the brain. So that kind of interrupts that. But, the vagus nerve is this big nerve that runs the whole length of our spine to our brain, that communicates with the whole body about how we're responding to the world around us. And, if you might have heard of heart rate variability or heart math, maybe you have a speaker on that. So, when you calm down, your heart rate variability, or it becomes coherent. And it's like a conversation between your brain and your heart. And it goes into this nice balance. And when you're in that balanced state, you think better, you act better, your hormone levels regulate better, your nervous system is regulated. Okay. So it's likely your shock absorbers for life if you have better heart rate variability. All right. So tapping does that too. So I could go on and on. There's a lot of evidence now, sports performance, public speaking, anxiety, depression, PTSD, studies on all of that. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned in the most recent study that they tap for an hour.
Yeah.
So what is an optimum time for tapping that people can achieve some results?
So an hour is a lot of time. I would
Is.
say, when I have new clients, I would tell somebody new to set a timer for 2 to 5 minutes and tap
Okay,
for 2 to 5 minutes. You can tap to a song. Tapping without words initially is really a good way to get started because people are nervous about what do I say when I tap, or
yes,
they can tap to a recording, and there are plenty of recordings, but the best kind of tapping is very focused. You're with a practitioner and you're checking in on how upset you are or how high the pain is. You're really measuring before and during and after your tapping episode. So, one of the things I've offered you guys as part of this interview is a copy of my ebook, The Energy Makeover Journal, which is a daily journal with some sections to help you keep track of what you're working on, what you're
wonderful,
noticing about your body or your life and what you might tap on daily. So you can take some notes and follow it through history. Okay.
perfect. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So and so how does it help release? So for pain, it helps the pain be released by lowering the cortisol level, reducing the stress,
And
being more
also
quiet.
cognitively, really kind of getting into what you believe about your pain, what you think about your pain, what you associate the pain with, the emotions. Pain is real. It's very personal. I think you won't find two people that have the same issue,
Right.
really. Even two people with the same injury, they're going to have different feelings about what that did. And there is an emotional connection. So, what we do when we're tapping is we state what we're feeling, the truth, even if it's
Mm.
ugly. And we don't go jumping into positive affirmations right away. In fact, the pain study, I was reviewing Peter Stapleton's stuff yesterday, and they never use affirmations. The statements that they use when they're tapping are all the negative. They're addressing the current state, the discomfort, all the words for discomfort, the feelings of discomfort, because you have to accept what's there before you can change it. You have to get close to it and
Mm.
really, and it sounds kind of contradictory that being so for example, if somebody had a chronic low back pain, okay,
Mhm.
we might start. One of the things she suggests tapping on is that you doubt that anything will help it, you know
Mm.
and you do a setup statement. I can show real quickly. You tap the side of your hand. So the
Mhm.
way, I mean, if you want to just, I would do a very quick example of how we
Sure.
might start. Okay.
Okay. Love to.
And if you're really, really upset, we wouldn't use words, but we'll say if you're below a 7 in terms of your emotional upset, we start using language. So
Okay.
if it's too high, we breathe together. We might as well breathe together a little bit.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. So just take a deep breath in and exhale, a nice long exhale, like you're blowing out a candle. And when you do a long exhale, that helps calm your vagus nerve. It helps lower, make your heart rate more. It lowers your blood pressure. It does a lot of good things. So that long exhale is important. So you would be repeating after me. So shall we try it? We'll
Sure.
just pretend unless you have a different pain. Is lower back okay? Or what do you want to use?
No, that's sure.
That's
Let's
good.
do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even though I'm suffering from this lower back pain,
Even though I'm suffering from this lower back pain,
I admit it
I admit it.
and I accept that that's my reality.
And I accept that that's my reality.
And I'm willing to completely accept myself,
And I'm willing to completely accept myself.
even though I have this lower back pain.
even though I have this lower back pain,
and I doubt anything can help it.
and I doubt anything can help it.
I choose to accept myself completely,
I choose to accept myself completely,
including the pain,
including the pain,
even though I have this chronic pain
even though I have this chronic pain,
and nothing's helped.
and nothing has helped.
And I doubt this tapping will help at all.
And I doubt this tapping will help at all.
I choose to honor my body
I choose to honor my body
and accept what's here
and accept what's here
as the truth.
as the truth.
Okay. And then you would start tapping. So, top of the head, I doubt it'll help me.
I doubt it will help me.
And you go to the inner eyebrow points. I doubt this will make any difference.
I doubt this will make any difference.
And then the side of the eye. I doubt this lower back pain could change
I doubt this lower back pain will change
from something so simple.
from something so simple.
Under the eye, I doubt this will work
I doubt this will work
because it looks funny
because it looks funny
and it's too simple.
and it's too simple.
Under the nose, it can't possibly work for me
It can't possibly work for me
because nothing else did.
because nothing else did.
Why would this make any difference?
Why would this make any difference?
This lower back pain
This lower back pain
can't possibly change
can't possibly change
from doing this strange tapping thing.
from doing this strange tapping
Mhm.
thing.
And then right down below the collarbone. Sometimes you can, I'm doing one-handed because it's easier to see, but you can tap both sides.
Mhm.
This won't work for me.
This won't work for me.
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
I'm a doubter. And so you get under your arm, right? Kind of where your bra goes through. I doubt it.
I doubt it.
And then just rest for a minute. Just take a breath in and out. So that's an example of tapping on the doubt. A round of tapping just to acknowledge. So it's okay to be skeptical. One of the things that we've found as practitioners over and over again, that people don't have to believe it will work for it to work. So you might as well just state it as part of the facts. Now,
Sure.
another way to look at it would be how you feel about the pain. So
Yes.
I'm angry, I'm depressed. I'm, yeah, it's,
Shut up.
or how it's affected your life. I can't go anywhere. I can't work. I can't trust anybody. Nobody wants to hang out with me, whatever it is,
Nobody believes me.
nobody believes how bad this hurts. Yeah. Yeah. And so we address all these different, what we refer to as aspects, because emotional stuff, physical stuff, there are many aspects. It's when it started, what was going on. Sometimes it started right after my father died. Emotion, physical, maybe not, or it happened after an accident. What else was going on? Were there some legal things involved? Was there the loss of a car and then all the stress around that? Or, there are a lot of things that can be involved that are very tricky about the way we respond when there's a painful incident, right?
And when you do this procedure, you don't have to go back and examine those things, I understand.
Well, you can take it apart. I mean, part
Oh,
of
you
it is
can.
being very
Okay.
curious. So
Yes.
if I was working with somebody with chronic pain, I'd want to know what they believe about it, what doctors have told them about that,
Mhm.
what they've tried that didn't work, what was going on when it happened, how long it's been going on. And then you can explore other things, color, shape, texture. If it had an emotion, what would it be?
Mhm.
Is there a swear word that you'd like to assign to it? I mean, and sometimes you can do nonverbals too. So what is the pain? If the pain had a voice, what would it sound like? And you could tap to that. there are lots of different ways of just getting closer to it,
Mhm.
to give it, the tapping helps it move. Okay. And sometimes people will notice the pain starts here and then it moves a little bit to the one side, or it can change in its intensity. So we're always asking on a scale of 0 to 10, where are you
Mhm.
at? And
Mhm.
then we'll stop in between rounds. What are you noticing? And
Mhm.
whatever comes up, that's usually your next target, what we might work on next. If it really resolves, then my job as a practitioner is to stir it up, to see if we can get it, uh, to test it, have
Right.
them say something about it, have
Right.
them move, have them, it's okay not to believe that it's really gone, or
Right.
even that it'll come back. And sometimes the doctors even say that to us. Wow, it'll just come back. Ooh, or if you don't do this, then this will happen. There's,
Mhm.
there's often some fear, and fear can lock us up, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
So
this is
what did you
fantastic.
notice? Had you tapped before? What did you
Um,
notice?
I have on occasion, and I have to say, there's one other lady I've interviewed.
Mhm.
Um, she swears by it. She's
Oh,
93. She's still teaching. She amazing lady. So this is really bringing home the fact to me that okay, this is going to be like brushing my teeth. You know,
yeah.
put the practice, do it every day, and
I mean,
what
you could use it.
what's the harm?
It's a good thing to have on board when,
Mhm.
well, we didn't talk about my event 5 years ago as a,
Mhm.
a person who almost lost her husband and dealt with a serious life-threatening event and a brain injury of somebody
Mhm.
I love. Keeping your act together when life gets bumpy. Um, because we need our brains and our bodies to be in sync. We need
Right.
that clarity to make good decisions. So it's more than just emergency care. It's ongoing fine tuning of how you are in the world, and really
Right.
the principles of it. I think if you really get it down, the tapping might not be necessary eventually, because it's really about accepting the present for what
Mhm.
it is
Mhm.
and making choices and choosing to love yourself through it, no matter
Mhm.
what's going on.
Mhm.
Yeah. And trusting that maybe something else out there can resolve the situation.
Right.
You don't have to control everything. Control is a big deal, right? Yeah.
Nobody wants to give up control.
No, that was my issue, and my husband was very, very sick, and so I got a book here, the
Yes.
comeback. And for
Right.
5 years ago, my husband and I were on a vacation, and he went out running in the morning, and he didn't come back. And I didn't know where he was. I eventually had to call 911, and eventually police came and gave me the very horrible news that he had a sudden cardiac arrest, apparently on a running track, just not even far from this B&B, and somebody had found him and called 911 and given him CPR.
Mm.
However, he went without oxygen for a very long time, probably 8 to 10 minutes. They say even with CPR, you have about 7 minutes. And so he was in an ER, and I was out of town. I didn't even have a car, so I had to get to the hospital. And then it was the long, I was told his brain wasn't responding, his eyes weren't responding to light. They were going to put him on, they, you know, they do cold therapy after an event like that. And so he was put in a coma and cooled off, and we just had to wait. And then when he came out of it, he had seizures, more waiting, transferred to another hospital. So it was about 3.5 weeks in Michigan before he was, they had to take the breathing tube out because it had been in so long. And
Mhm.
he spontaneously came back when they did that. Although I would say I was doing some things on the side too. I had some healing friends. I was working on me. I should say, number one, I was working on me. I was making some good decisions on his behalf all along. But we had some Reiki. I was tapping. I had reflexology going on for him. And a lot of prayers, a lot of people praying. And again, I keep emphasizing the power of groups. When you have a lot of people who really love somebody that are all kind of on the same boat, and we're focusing on we're focusing on some specific things too. That's not that you can control it, but focusing on, let's get a new doctor today so that we can get his breathing tube removed, kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And the doctor who decided to wait to see how he did instead of putting another, the cut into his neck, and how he was able to eat that same day. But I put prayers out because otherwise they were going to get into a feeding tube. But he made a full recovery. That's the important message. And it was a long recovery. He had to learn to walk and talk and do everything again. And spent a lot of weeks in a rehab hospital. So it was hard for both of us.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm curious, did he tap Betsy?
He is not a tapper. He likes me to surrogately take care of what he needs. So we can't change these guys, right? Not everybody wants to tap. That's okay. But actually, you can do tapping on behalf of another person, just like you can send Reiki or pray for another person. It's a form of active prayer, I would say. So yeah.
Good. That's a good reminder. Good to know.
Yeah, you can send it to your pet or to your grandma over in England, and it doesn't seem to care about distance. So that's a good thing too, right?
Excellent. Well, that's important. I'm glad you brought that up. That's because we want. This is my hope for listeners too, is that they're going to take away things that they can do for themselves to help themselves. Right. So I appreciate your demonstration. I appreciate you sharing your story, your free download, and I know people will be in touch to sign up for that. And I'm grateful for you being here today. Well, thank you very much.
I'm glad we connected. Happy to help.
Thank you. So I want to, for those tuning in, please come back for the rest of the interviews at the Holistic Pain Relief Summit. Remember to access your free gift from Betsy and pop into the Facebook group and share your takeaways from today's speakers or ask any questions. If you know of anyone who would benefit from this information from our fantastic speakers, please invite them to join holisticpainreliefsummit.com, where the recordings will be available for 24 hours. Thank you once again, Betsy.
Thank you.